Welcome to Something to Talk About from the Bainbridge Island Senior Community Center. Today we are going to look at some very interesting photos from Norm James. Before we do that, though, I want to thank Fieldstone Communities of Bainbridge Island for sponsoring Something to Talk About. We appreciate their support of the Senior Center. They offer independent living and assisted living and a vibrant memory care up on Rolling Bay. Check them out. You can go for a tour. You can have lunch on them at their bar and grill. Call 206-594-1010. Ask for Celia or Jamie. You can also check out their website at fieldstonecommunities.com. So this is an interesting experiment that we're going to look at today that Norm, you started. You can tell us a little bit about what the technique is and what inspired you to do it. It looks like it takes a lot of work, night and day and night.
Yeah, it's a technique called day to night, and I came up with another little thing. It's called turn the lights on, and you'll see what I'm talking about when I talk about turn the lights on. And so basically, it is you're looking for a decent photograph with a nice composition, and preferably it's going to have flat light. Now, most photographers can't stand flat light, but in this instance, you want kind of flat light because it's easier to deal with this process. You don't want a high dynamic range. You don't want to have bright spots and dark spots because you have to deal with it. So the important thing is the composition, and it's during the daylight that's taken, and pretty basically you just turn down the exposure. You just turn it down until it has the appearance that it's dark, and then you go through and you start turning the lights back on again, everything that should have a light on it. Like you might have a window that you turn the lights on inside the building, or you may have a light on a sign that's outside. You should turn on the light for the sign. But then when you turn on the light for the sign, that means that light is going to be reflected to other parts of the building. It's going to be reflected down to the land. It's going to create shadows, that sort of thing. And that's what you're doing. You're actually painting, I guess, a dark photograph by turning the lights on. So it's actually a lot of fun. Some of it can be tedious, but it all depends what you want. So it really is a lot of fun to do.
So you saw this somewhere, or
I saw it. Somebody's going to have to help me. Brian Matlin is his name. He's a British individual, and I saw his stuff. Matlin, I think, is spelled Mathlin, and he puts out wonderful videos. He explains every single step that he does. One of the very first ones I saw that he did was he went to Virginia City in Nevada, and he broad daylight, he turned it into a nighttime photo. It was just spectacular. You know, he's British, so he does a lot of the stuff over in England or Scotland or someplace. But you know, they have those old towns, those old portions of towns. It really looks spectacular with that sort of subject matter. Just great.
Okay, well, let me share the screen here and see if we can start to look at some of these. Let me. There we go.
Very good. Okay, so this photo, you know, obviously everybody around here recognizes this location. This is taken in, oh, I want to say in January of this past year, maybe as earlier, maybe as the end of last year. But anyway, I think this photograph is taken around noon. And when I talk about flat light, if you're a photographer and you want to do outdoor photography and you're looking at this, that's something that you really want to avoid. I mean, it's about as flat as it can be. And so then the process is basically you just darken everything, and then you start playing around with it, turning the lights on, cropping different things out of it. Using, in this particular instance, I used generative fill an artificial intelligence to take the cars out on the left-hand side. But go to the next photo, Reed.
I will. So the idea of the cars, that's kind of a, I mean, that's your,
That's
that-
that's
that's
my yeah
your
that's
request.
that's my interpretation. And so
But look
this
at that.
yeah, this is exactly the same photograph. I took the cars out, cropped it in a little bit, but you have the UPS driver, he's still over there on the right-hand side. I cropped it enough to take the UPS truck out. But if you look further into the photograph, there's people that are there and all that sort of thing. So everything that's in this particular photograph was in the photograph that I took, the original photograph. That includes the sky. The sky is the same sky. I didn't put in a fake sky or anything else like that. So I darkened everything and then came back through it and started lighting things up. I think this one took probably the longest that I did because I had to light up so many different things.
I know it
that-
looks like a Christmas village.
Yeah, it does. You know, I had to light up little tiny things back in the background, the church windows, you know, porch lights, just little tiny things. And all of those things take a little bit of time. But basically what I'm using, and I use Adobe Camera Raw, which is the same thing as Lightroom. And so you use various masks that you put on. And the mask that I usually use is a radial mask, a brush, or an object. And anything that's square, I do an object. If anything that's round, I'll either do a brush or I'll do a radial filter. So if you look up on the left side where the bistro is, so I lit up the sign, but then I had to put a light on and behind that sign as well. So you have to kind of play around with it and you have to look at it and go, well, if there's a light on, where else would it be besides just the initial thing? So over on the right-hand side, the light that's at the top of the building, that light itself was actually on a lamppost that I put over there on that building. And then I lit up the light, and then obviously I lit up the reflection of it as well. So, well, yeah, this one really was a lot of fun to do.
Norm, the trees that are the upper left, the highest trees that we're looking at,
Uh-huh.
there's some that almost look like they have snow on it, but it's not snow.
No,
Is that just they're faded because they're further back, or what was the story with that?
could be. You have to remember this is in I think it was in January, so it's in the wintertime, so there's no leaves on the tree. And I think that it just had to do with the fact, see, there's the original photograph right there.
Yeah.
And you can tell that it's exactly the same color, you know, it's just that gray color that's there.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So on the right side where you put that, did you move that light off of the post? You just kind of moved it up to the building and then put the light on it?
Well,
I didn't understand what you.
read, go back to the original. So I think somewhere in here, I have to put my glasses on, but if you look back in there somewhere, I grabbed a spotlight. Oh, wait a second. Maybe the street light that's up above. See where the street light is?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It may be that street light that I just cut off, or maybe you can see on the building itself that there's a little light that's
Yeah,
not.
I can see that. So that's probably what
That's
you used.
probably that one right there, Reed. That's probably what I took, and I just moved that and actually put it onto the building itself.
Yeah, okay.
Well, see, it's different. That's a different light. Who knows where I got it? I got
Well,
this photograph someplace. So
Uh-huh.
I just snatched it and put it over there. I have no idea where I got it. I know it's in the.
but there are those little ornamental lights, Christmas lights or
Oh,
whatever,
yeah. Oh,
that
yeah.
were on before,
Yep.
and you kept them on.
Yep. Yep. You know, and notice, see those little lights that are on that building on the right-hand side? None of those lights are turned on. So if you go to the black building on the right-hand side by the phone pole,
Right.
okay, see the little star kind of
Yeah.
lights, none of those were turned on. And if you notice, I took that phone pole out of, no, I just cut it off. But all of
They
those
look
lights,
like they're on.
yeah, all of those lights, none of those lights were turned on. I went through each of those lights and turned them on by,
Unlike say the bistro sign, which was on.
no, the bistro sign was not on. Go and take a look.
Oh, yeah, yeah, it was
It's
on.
it's on a little bit, but I really lightened it up, you know,
Yeah.
to bring it out.
You know, because you spent a lot of time working on it.
Oh yeah. Click, 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 click. Yeah,
So
all of the little lights, you know, you just go through and you just turn them on.
So I have a question. You were talking about you want flat light, and what if you have a sky where there's some clouds, but it's not really flat? Why could you just not select the sky?
Well, if you have a difference in the dynamic range. So
Yeah.
let's just say you have a nice sky with clouds in it that are, I don't know, dark clouds, light clouds, whatever it is. Then you have to do exactly like you said, select that sky and reduce it down. I've done it
So
several
that would
times.
work. It's just not ideal to have
Yeah,
that.
it's not ideal, and I never actually found it to be really worked well. Jane, you and I did a photograph in
Linwood?
Linwood, and
Yeah.
that was the same thing. That had a light sky, and I
That's right.
couldn't quite get it to work right. And I mean, it's not bad, but it's not.
It was challenging.
It's
Yeah.
challenging, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and for these, most of these, realistically, it doesn't look real. It honestly does not look like it's nighttime. It looks artsy. You know, I think of all of them that I've done, there's a photo we'll come to that I think looks the closest to nighttime. But this is more, it's an artsy. It looks like it's a postcard, you know, rather than really nighttime.
Or an Edward Hopper painting. This looks
Yeah.
like a painting, which is stunning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an interesting thing because I could look at this, especially look at the two pictures all day, picking things out, just because it's so magical looking. It doesn't look real. You're right, and I don't know why. It's uncanny. Is that what they say? You know?
Yeah. It's great.
So this one, and again, you know, take a look at that light, boy. You know, as a photographer, we would all go, "Oh my goodness gracious, this is horrible." But I went into town specifically to take photographs for this procedure, and I happened to see this woman walking down the street with her dog, and I actually got her to turn around and come back and look in the window for me. But you know, if you look at this, there's only what? How many lights are turned on? You know, hardly any. So Reed, go to the next one. So it did exactly the same thing. You know, this is the real sky that's with it. You know, and all I did was just really just reduce the exposure. And then I came back through again and just started turning on all the lights, you know, obviously taking stuff out, you know, like science and that kind of stuff. But basically that's it. You know, you go through there and go, well, there's a light there. Maybe I should have it turned on. You know, like the spotlights under the overhang. Well, you know, spotlights are there, but the lights weren't on. So I go through and turn the lights on and make the light beam, you know. Same thing up at the top, the lights for the signs, the Eagle Harbor book signs and stuff, you know. You turn the lights on and then you go, well, where would the light be if these lights were turned on? You know, so it's a lot of fun. It's something that you can play around with, go through here and, you know, just have fun.
That
And
does,
you-
I mean, it does seem painterly to do that, because you're using your brush.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you
you,
know,
you with the sky, Norm, again, you used a mask and just
no,
blocked
I didn't.
everything but the sky, and then what did you do?
Not with this one. I did not. You know, I just darkened everything.
You
I
just
just-
don't-
I just
that's-
So you just a global change on that.
Yeah. So look at the tree on the right side. Well, see, I took that tree completely out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so by the time I cropped it, most of it was gone anyway. But if you were to try to mask that, you know good and well that you couldn't mask that tree. You
Yeah.
know, you would have different lights and different holes in it, you know, and all that kind of stuff
Right.
without being able to do it. But
Right.
basically, I
You
just
just
go through.
darkened it.
Yeah, I just darken the, you know, the photo itself. You know, so I mean, that's truly is the good part about having it.
Sort of
You know,
unveiled the contrast in the sky that was already there, but we couldn't see because of how bright it was.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, this,
Exactly.
I think this one's particularly well done.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's kind of
This is-
fun because it's a scene that we all know. Of course, we don't Paul's boat too, but
You know, and I got an email from Rob Bartlett, and he saw this photo in the senior center, and he was going, I don't know how in the world you got that dog, you know, to stand there exactly that same way, and look the same way, because he thought that I'd taken 2 photographs. And
oh,
I said, no, Rob, it's the exact same photograph, but I just did this stuff to him, you know. So anyway, and again, does this really look like it's nighttime? I mean, I don't think so. You know, it just looks painterly. It's a piece of art. It's not.
it grabs you, I think. It's just,
And the other thing that stands out to me is the contrast between what's going on the right half and the left half. There's a certain, it's more dark on the left half, but with the spots of the windows on the right side, both the clouds and the building, the bookstore just leap out at you. So it's
Yeah.
photographically quite stunning too.
mhm.
And here's the most important thing of this photograph. It has critters in it. And we know that's important.
That's on brand for you, Norm.
Let me tell you something. The photo club people, Jane and Diane know exactly what I'm talking about.
We're talking
I
about
have
Pip.
critters.
We're talking about
Yes,
Pip.
yes, and if you go back through the photos, we've traveled with Pip with you before,
Yeah,
so.
it's like
Indeed.
travels with Charlie, like Steinbeck.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna see Pip here in a moment. So anyway, go to the next one. Okay, so it's the same thing. This is about as flat a light as you can possibly get. You know, there is it's just a horrible for a photograph to take. But I knew what I was going to do with it. You know, so it's the same. This particular photo, I think, is the closest to one that I feel looks like it's actually nighttime. But anyway, so if you look at the bottom of the building, and lo and behold, who do you see? You see
Oh,
this
yeah.
beautiful, you see this beautiful little dog. Anyway, this is out in eastern Oregon. This is a schoolhouse out in eastern Oregon. And so this particular photograph was obviously probably about the easiest. You know, this is the same thing. It's not a fake sky. This is the sky that was actually in the photograph. I did different things, like off to the side of the photograph, I put a radial filter on it and brought light in from where I thought it would come from the left-hand side, the moon or whatever it is. So I put a radial filter on and brought that light in. So that lit up the building a little bit more, lit up the ground, lit up the grass, and all that kind of stuff on the left-hand side. So it came from left to right, and I just highlighted that light.
You came from left to right, but you made it come. I mean, there wasn't,
Yes. Yep.
you just
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
okay, let's say it's moonlight. What's that gonna do to the dark side of that schoolhouse?
Yeah, where is that light going to come from? So if you go back to the original picture. Now this is I can't remember, 4 o'clock in the afternoon or so. There is no light. I mean, none, zero. You know, and so if you take a look at the white spots on that building, on the face of that building. Now go to the next, and all I did is I just turned those lights on. You know, there's no real lights there, but you add it to make it look like there's lights. So it's the same thing. Turn the light on. Where does the light going to reflect to? How's that light going to play across? across the face of that building, that kind of stuff. So,
What happened to Pip? Pip looks,
so she's there.
but
She's
she
there.
looks,
Different
yeah,
because
she
it's a
looks
slight,
like a different animal.
well, it's a slightly different photograph.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
don't think I had the original one to show as the original one, but
Yeah.
it's just slightly different. It's
Yeah.
just taken
Yeah,
by,
she moved.
yeah, she moved. She moved.
Nice.
I did,
yeah,
but anyway.
that works really well.
So Norm, when you,
Yes.
you selected for the roof did you select just the top part and then add the light and then do the same thing on the
Probably did.
base? You
I-
Did a
I
separate
probably-
selections?
Yeah,
Mm.
I probably did, and I did other things, like you sit there and you go, okay, so if the light shines from left to right, at some point at the corner of that building, well, it's going to be darker.
Uh-huh.
So, and the smaller shack kind of building, well, that's going to be darker as well. So, you just have to figure out the light's coming from here. What is it going to do? It's going to light up this part, and it's going to be darker over here. It's like the steeple thing, the light comes in and it hits the face that you're looking at, but not on the opposite side. So I darkened that, to make it look like it's in shadow. So it's all about playing with light and knowing what it's going to do and then just enhancing it. Really, it's what you're doing.
Did it take you a while to kind of get that part, where the light's gonna be, if they're, where it's gonna
No, not really, because I just, for me personally, I just think that's just kind of ingrained in me that this is a light area, this is going to be a dark area, and that sort of thing. I think it's just something that I have, and maybe other people might have to work on that stuff. But you have to
I
remember,
think, when I think about photography, like one of the things you guys think about a lot is light, right?
Yep.
Hmm,
yeah,
for sure.
yeah. Okay.
And so this is a way to to take what you
Absolutely.
know and make it so.
No, well, not only that, Reed, but you can do it during the daytime. You don't have to stay up to midnight to do this stuff, so
All
that's the good part.
right.
This
Senior
is
night photography.
yeah. So this is another small town over in eastern Washington, and I can't remember the name of the town, but anyway, it's the same thing. This is about as flat a light as you can possibly get. There's just nothing there. So bump to the next one. And so it's the same thing. All I did is I just darkened everything and then started turning the lights on. Where's the light going to be? Oh, let me see here. Light's going to be on that light pole, and that's going to be lit up. That means down below it, it's going to have to be lit. It's going to be put an extra light on the side of that building that's right there. It's you just look at it, and go, oh well, we need to have a light here. We need to have a light here. If you go over to the smaller white building over center, right in the middle, up along the eave part, there's a light, what appears to be a light, but if you go back to the original photograph, there's nothing there. There's flat out nothing there. I mean, nothing there. And so, you can put a light in here and there, and unless you're told that that's fake, well, people are just going to see what they want to see. Same thing in that garage. I lit up that's when I found out when I was lighting it up. And that's the cool thing about this stuff. When you put a light on a window, you can look inside the window. It may be dark when you took the picture, but you light that window up and you're able to look inside.
So was go ahead.
Okay, when I lit up the windows for this garage door right there, I didn't realize that's paper covering up the actual glass. I'm looking at it, I'm going, oh yeah, that's paper covering up all of that stuff. So
What about the window on the right? What was
Okay.
that inside?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what's in there. It's what you're looking at is the reflection from across the street. So that's the trees from across the street.
Got
But
it.
if you look at the door itself,
Yeah.
if you look inside, you can kind of look inside that door and go, oh, what's in there? You know, because over on the left-hand side, it looks like a lace curtain. But on the right-hand side, is that a staircase or what is that? But there's
Mhm,
something in there, you know, and
mhm,
it's amazing how you light up these windows and all of a sudden you're looking inside these buildings.
mm.
Looking at my map, it looks like it could be Colfax or Harrington or somewhere.
Harrington.
All
Harrington.
right,
Yeah.
because
Col-
there was
Yeah.
Highway 23 in there, and you took
Yeah.
that sign out. But
Yeah.
okay,
Harrington. So this is the last photograph, and this obviously was taken during the nighttime, but we're talking about turning on the lights, even though, you know, all the other stuff was day to night. But now let's talk about turning on the lights. This is a photograph that I took, and this is a Molson, Washington. And obviously you may see some little lights there in the inside of the very first building and a couple of little lights back over on the right-hand side. And I may have lit up the foreground a little bit with when I'm taking the photograph, so that way I can light up the building itself with my, usually I use my iPhone or something rather than just flash a light on it. So that's probably what I did here. I lit up the building. But other than that, those are the only lights that are here. So Reed, go to the next one. So exactly what I did.
this is
It just
go back.
go back.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then you want to see the lit up version.
Yep. And so that's all that I did with this photograph. Obviously, I took the power lines out and all that kind of stuff. But I went through this photograph and I said, where would there be lights on inside this building if they were occupied right now? And so I just turned on the lights. Reed, can you zoom in? See if you can
I
zoom
don't
in.
know.
Oh,
Let's
okay,
see.
well,
Oh, maybe
anyway,
I can. There we go.
Yeah.
Did that not really? There we go.
No. Okay, yeah, there you go. So look inside that building. You know, you can look inside that building and you can see stuff inside that building. And it's the same thing with that little shed over on the right-hand side. You know, you turn on a fake light and you can actually look inside these things. So it's just extremely interesting that you do. Anyway, this is exactly the same process of turning the lights on. So if you go out there at night and you find an interesting composition and you want to take like a photograph like this, come back and start turning the lights on. Give your photograph some interest. So you can see, you know, all the lights that I turned on to make this more interesting. There's a power pole somewhere over there. I think over towards my left. Look at the roof of this building right here. I figured out there's got to be light coming from some place, like a street light or something. And again, this is just my imagination. Yeah, go to now go to the refined one. So this is just my imagination. I said, well, you know, there's got to be light coming from someplace. Look at the light on top of the building, you know, and I just started playing around with it. Where am I going to put light? You know, how am I going to put light? You know, the front of the building is now lit up. The ground, the little road is lit up just by me using my imagination and going, well, there's probably a street light in there behind me someplace, you know, lighting it up. You know, so use your imagination. You just kind of play around with it until you find something that you like.
Very fun. And I have watched a video too of the guy you mentioned, Brian Matthews, whatever his name.
Maitland or Matthews? Yeah.
Yeah, and he just, I mean, it was like an hour-long video, and he just went through all these details. It was really informative. I would, if anybody wanted to try it, I would recommend looking at that.
He's a great instructor. He goes through each and every step. And it's like Diane said, you know, obviously he's been doing it for quite a while, but he'll take a photograph and he'll finish it up in just a little over an hour. you know, and it's just, that's how fast he can do it. So, but it's just art. Throw some imagination in it to figure out what it is that you want, how you want your photograph to turn out. But it's, you know, it's a lot of fun, but I truly do think it's all about the composition. It's all about your subject matter and then that flat light. Other than that, man, you're good to go.
Terrific.
Yes,
Thanks for
so it
sharing.
took you a little longer, I think, than an hour. I think the guy's name may be Jamie Maitland.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
Mafflin or
Jamie Mafflin, yeah.
Mafflin.
Yep, that's him.
Yep, that's
I'll put
him.
it, if you're watching this later, I put a link to his website in the description down below, so you can
Yeah.
catch it there. And thank you, Norm, for sharing these. It's been a great month at the center. Next month, we're going to have Dawn showing pictures, but she's not going to be able to do one of these, something to talk about. So if you're watching this, and don't miss coming into the center sometime in the month of October. And of course, you guys meet at least once, sometimes twice a month on Wednesday evenings, and you can find out when at the center is when you meet, where you meet. You can find out when by going to biphotoclub.org. Right?
Right.
Okay. I really
Oh,
appreciate
I
it.
will
Do you have anything to
mention-
add? Yeah, go ahead, Diane.
I'm just gonna mention in case anybody watches this and thinks we're gonna be the second Wednesday of October, I think it's the 9th. It's just going to be a Zoom meeting, so that we won't be in Huni Hall that night. So if anybody were to show up, they would be disappointed. So.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay, have a lovely weekend. And again, thank you for sharing these. I really enjoy
Yeah,
these
really
monthly
fun.
get-togethers. It's really fun to get to talk to you a little bit more about how the pictures came